On today's episode of The Happy House,
we're going to take this tray from plastic to fantastic.
And then
we're learning how to grow our own herbs to cook for our families.
Finally,
I'm teaching Peggy how to sew. It's easy, anyone can do it. And then we reinforce our seams at the end by doing a reverse stitch. Keep pressing. Okay, and we're done.
Stay tuned for The Happy House.
I'm at Mama's Happy today with Amanda, and she is going to teach us how to make an amazing serving tray out of course, something old that we don't like anymore.
Okay, so we're going to start with, this is just an inexpensive plastic charger, okay? Maybe back in the day we thought it was beautiful, right? And now we're just trying to decide what to do with them. Okay, so we're going to just take our Annie Sloan chalk paint, which you're familiar with by now. For those of you who aren't, it is just a great paint for projects like this where you want it to be able to stick to any surface. You don't want to have to do any preparation or priming or sanding.
It's actually shocking because this is very glossy, so you would think with traditional paint that you have to prime it or do something, but it goes right on. And the thing about Annie Sloan paint is it's just so easy to use and you don't have to be perfect. So once we're done painting, then we do step number 2.
Step 2 with this paint always involves the soft wax, and which comes in the clear and the dark, and that's going to be what seals the paint itself. And so just as we've done in the past, this actually has some wax on it, and you need very little for this, something this size.
But it's important that we have to do both steps. It's not just for aesthetic, it actually is what seals the paint.
It seals the paint, that's right. So we're going to paint that on. And then if you want to do any kind of antiquing or glazing or anything like that, then you can use the dark wax to give it that aged look.
The patina. I like this. I do like to use the dark wax sometimes too, but this looks great, I think.
Well, and what you'll notice here where we had the paint on a little bit thicker, and then you can put a fan on it or a hairdryer on it and actually get the paint to crack, and then the dark wax gets into those cracks. It's another way to give something the impression of having age, even if it does not.
Okay, so once we've got our wax, now what are we going to do with this? I mean, it looks different, but I wouldn't necessarily say it's better, I mean, than we had before.
Well, and this is where you get to personalize it. So now you've improved the look. You've taken the cheap, fake gold, and now this is where you're going to personalize it to something that matches your home or your taste, your decor. So here we've just taken an image off of the internet. We've gotten this one off Graphics Fairy, and she has amazing graphics. They're all free to download. And download it. It needs to be printed on a laser printer. So that's the only thing you need to make sure that you're using a laser printer for this transfer gel.
And this is backwards.
Yes.
So we can use it.
That's a key step.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I was kind of actually confused. I'm like, what's going on? And then I'm like, oh, it's backwards.
Yes.
Okay.
So you want to make sure that you print it in reverse, and that's just an option when you're working in whatever software you're using your image in. You're going to just choose to reverse the image.
Okay. So what are we going to do with this print?
Okay. So now we're going to take our transfer gel, and you can buy this at many different craft stores, or we sell it here at Mama's Happy. So then you're going to just paint your transfer gel on and about the same size as your images. You don't want to go too far over because you'll see some of that sheen.
All right.
Afterwards. Okay, and now you're going to paint some on your image itself. And again, just a thin coat, and just think of it as a thin coat of glue.
And I have to obviously cover all of it, right?
Yes. Let me give you some more room here.
This is actually mind-blowing to me when I see what this does. Okay.
And I mentioned that you need to have a laser printer to print the image out. If you don't have a laser printer, that's the time you could go to Kinko's or Office Max and just have them print the image for you.
Okay.
All right, so now you're just going to lay that down, and since it's a circle, it does not matter.
That's perfect for me. You've crafted with me.
Yes, I have crafted with you before, yeah.
All right, and then I press it down? Or
Yep.
what happens?
Yep. And then what you're going to do is let it sit. It's going to all of that is going to dry, and they recommend 2 hours. I say even if you're doing this maybe in the evening, which is when I tend to be working on these kind of things, let it sit overnight.
So then, as you mentioned, this is kind of like gluey.
Yes.
But the paper will come off?
Yes. So here's going to be the next step. Okay. So we've got this. So now, voila! We waited till morning. And now you're going to just take a cloth and dip it into your water, which we've got some water right here for you. And what you want to do is get all of your paper wet. So you're just going to kind of press the cloth. Here, I'll show you how to. You're just going to get it.
I just want to show, because I think this is interesting. It's like you can see where it started to come off
Yes.
and how the transfer has transferred.
It transferred. It worked.
Okay.
So you want to get your paper damp, let that sit for a little bit, and as it soaks in, then you're going to be able to just gently pull away the paper. See how easy?
Yeah.
So again, you don't want your cloth to be dripping wet.
Got
You just
it.
want it to be damp. And then let that sit on the paper.
Okay.
And then
And then once I do that.
once you do that, you have your finished, beautiful,
This
customized
is amazing.
charger. Wouldn't that be fun to do for a wedding gift? And you could do something with the couples,
date,
the wedding
yes.
date, or yeah.
It'd also be
a
really
birthday.
cute to do. Although, is this food safe? Can you eat off of this?
I don't know that I would eat off of it,
Okay.
but it would be great to have even under, under something that is food safe.
Yes. It's really pretty.
A glass plate on top of that.
Would be really great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, awesome. Thank you so much, Amanda. To learn more about the project we did today and all of the other fun projects I've done with Amanda at Mama's Happy, visit our website.
Coming up next, learn how to grow your own herbs right after these messages. I love cooking with herbs, and I often buy them at the grocery store, either fresh or in jars. But I am here with Jessie at Tonkadale, and she is going to teach me how to grow my own herbs so I can have them basically on demand, like on demand TV, except for on demand herbs.
Streaming herbs.
Streaming herbs. So we're going to talk about that right now. So tell me, actually, I have to give you a little warning. I can't actually really grow things except for children. So am I going to be able to grow herbs in my own home?
I think you can do it. So the one thing we should remember is that gardening is a process. So it's not going to be permanent and forever, right? So
Right.
you might have to change things out. There's a little bit of maintenance. If it dies, it's okay.
So I use it, and that's fine because it lived its life and it did
It's good. It
job
served its
and-
purpose.
Yes, okay.
There are stores to get new ones.
Yes, okay.
Anyway, in the wintertime, it's difficult to grow all herbs indoors. But what we can do is we can just kind of start with a nice assortment of kind of tough things, hardy things to grow inside.
I think that's actually really great. Like hardy. So hardy. What are and I'm guessing those are maybe most of the go-tos, right?
I would say, yeah. So, you're always you're gonna have to be a little careful because herbs like well-drained soil. They don't like to be moist all the time. They can succumb to powdery mildew and things if there's too much moisture and humidity.
Okay.
So you want, bright light, good drainage,
So bright light, good drainage.
a good temperature,
Okay.
not too drafty, etc. So, you want to pick what you're going to use because, then as you use them, it kind of helps with the maintenance and things like that. So if you're using your rosemary, you're trimming it and using it, and that helps make it fluff up nice and full
Got it.
again. So as you're cutting the herbs, it's good for them because it kind of rejuvenates them and they put out new
So
leaves.
using my herbs actually promotes growth.
Definitely.
Okay.
Mhm.
So you've got basically here just a colander with this liner, and of course it has holes, so when you water it, it's going to leak. So even just a cute plate underneath would be great.
Yeah.
So I want to plant, I like to cook a lot of Italian things at
Okay.
home, even though I'm not Italian, but I like to make pastas and things. And so help me put together an assortment that would be easy for me to grow and I would
Sure.
be able to use all the time in this container.
Sure. So I think what we'll start with is parsley, thyme, and oregano. They're good friends with
They're
each
good
other.
friends?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I mean, when you're planting your container, also you want to kind of think of the aesthetics. So a lot of time when we're planting a container of any sort, you want, something tall, which would be your parsley, and something trailing. Your thyme's going to kind of creep and trail, and so is your oregano. So you kind of have a nice assortment. So you have high, medium, and low, and some different foliage sizes, shapes.
That looks pretty together and it actually smells amazing.
It does. So just regular potting soil is good for herbs. Again, they like well-drained soil, so regular potting soil with peat moss.
It's not just soil, it's got a mixture, but it's
Yeah.
just the potting soil, standard
Right.
potting. So I
Yep.
put enough in to just cover the plants.
Yeah, maybe about 3/4 of the way full.
Okay.
You forgot your gloves. You're
I
going
know.
en natural today?
Yeah, I'm going rogue.
Okay.
It's rogue planting happening right here. Okay, so I've got that, so then I just basically,
You're gonna have to give it a spank.
spanking is okay with plants. Okay, so I'm gonna put this in. And Jesse's gonna help me make it perfect. Oh yeah, that's pretty.
Okay.
And I'm loosening
You can
up.
tear off some of those roots if they get in the way.
Okay. Okay, this actually makes me really happy right now. And my
Yeah.
name is happy, but this makes me happy because it looks pretty, it smells pretty, and I'm gonna be able to cook for my family with this.
Yeah.
One thing I like to do, I've done it before with herbs that I've actually bought fresh at the store, but I'll snip, if your plant is growing really well and you want to, you can snip it and then put in an ice cube tray, like put some olive oil and then put the little clippings from it and freeze those and then use them later. So that's something I've done with herbs I bought from the store, but now
Too many.
right, I mean,
Throw them away.
because I'm going to actually flourish this little plant. It's going to be just bountiful, and I'm going to be able to use those and actually freeze and preserve herbs. What else? But what about growing herbs outside in the summertime?
So kind of transitioning from inside to outside,
Yes.
I like to do herbs in containers outside personally, because when you put herbs in the ground, some of the perennial herbs are very aggressive in the ground. So say you planted mint or oregano, it just goes crazy. It's just too much. So if you plant them in a container, they kind of stay contained. You know, they do die at the end of summer, but you know, it's good to start fresh, right?
Again, you've used them. You've used them for the whole summer.
Used them, you've cooked with them, you've enjoyed them. So that's good. So when you're moving outside, you know, you can take some of the herbs that you had inside and replant them into a larger container, because they're going to grow faster with warmer weather, more sunshine, etc. So I chose this big container because what I thought would be kind of neat to do is like plant maybe a tomato plant in the middle that's going to be nice and tall, and then you have some herbs kind of around the bottom, so it's kind of multi-purpose and interesting at the same time.
Yeah, I like that idea because so actually I have a question. Would a tomato plant and herbs fit in this container? Is it big enough for it?
Yeah, I think by the end of summer the tomato might be larger, but you'd want to choose a tomato with a smaller growth habit, like a determinate tomato. So those are the ones that grow, stop growing, produce, and then they're done. You know, the indeterminate tomatoes, they go on and on and on and on and on.
What I like about this also is what an amazing gift to give like a new homeowner, or so a tomato plant and then also herbs around it. It's like your own little Italian garden, honestly.
Sure, yeah. And again, when you're going outside with this, you want to make sure you have a drainage. So you drill a hole in the bottom.
Okay.
Regular potting soil.
How about sunlight? How much sunlight do we need?
Lots of sun. Outside herbs need as much sun as you can give them. 4 to 6 hours or more is best. They like it nice and hot.
How much can I cut off to actually use for my cooking with still maintaining the integrity of the plant so it can continue growing?
Sure. I mean, the basic idea would be to leave some leaves so they can still gather sunlight, etc. So you don't have to be super gentle. You can really kind of go in there and just snip what you need. You know, something.
That's a lot of parsley right there.
Yeah. So you can see that there's still a lot of leaves left, so they can still collect sunlight and grow. You know, something like that's trailing or has arms like oregano, you just kind of go down. You can kind of selectively choose where.
Which looks best?
Yeah, if you need to make it, you know, you want to make it shapely. Yeah, don't be afraid. And again, as you cut back the herbs, that helps them branch out and grow thicker. So wherever there was one stem, where you cut, 2 stems come out.
Yes.
So
It's
that's
sort of like with annuals. I mean,
Exactly.
honestly, yes. When you take them down, then they grow more. Thank you so much for all of your help today. I'm ready to cook for my family now, which is fun. So to learn more about what we've talked about today, visit our website. Coming up next on The Happy House, learn the basics of a sewing machine. I'm here with my friend Peggy, and just the other day I discovered that she had received this sewing machine from her stepmother and is afraid of it. Is this true?
I'm very brave.
Well, this is the thing with Peggy. She knows how to do everything. So when I learned that she didn't know how to sew, I thought that's actually ridiculous. And I thought for a second about not teaching her because then Peggy will know how to do everything.
True. Thanks, I think.
All right, so Peggy, you've never opened this.
No.
No, we're gonna open it. Are you ready?
I don't know.
All right, so we're opening this sewing machine. And the thing about sewing machines, Peggy, is they're all different. Okay. But they all come, oh, there it is.
Is this a good one? Is this a bad one?
This is a fantastic sewing machine. It probably costs around $500 or $600. Jackpot. But the thing is, you can actually buy like a $150 sewing machine or a $100 sewing machine for everything we're going to talk about today. And so the thing about sewing is if you can sew a straight line, you can do so many things for your home. Okay. I was at one of my favorite boutiques the other day and I saw a set of 6 cocktail napkins for $48. And I thought to myself, you can make that on your sewing machine. So it's just straight lines, honestly. So you can save a lot of money. So we're gonna take this bad boy out of its case. And the first thing, obviously, you need to do with your sewing machine is kind of get to know it. What most people are afraid of is threading your sewing machine.
Terrified.
And so that's actually all you need to do to get started. But the beauty of every sewing machine is it comes with an instruction manual. And so that is going to tell you how to actually thread the machine. Okay. And honestly, oh yes, on this machine it's perfect because you can see that there are little arrows showing you where to actually put your thread. Okay. So you're a very smart woman. Yes, I think you can do this. Okay. So one of my favorite projects, and I love to give these as gifts actually, is these coasters. So I just pick up different little fabrics or use scrap fabric and make these coasters. And it's basically by cutting a 5.5 by 5.5 square, sewing it on the inside, flipping it out, and then doing a little top stitch. And a top stitch is this little seam around to just make it look finished. Again, straight line, straight line, straight line, straight line, all straight lines. So the important thing to know also about sewing is there's a few basic tools you need. So one of my favorite tools is this rotary cutter, and I have also a cutting board. I actually have a few different sizes of these cutting boards. But what you do basically is line your fabric up, then you just use this board to anchor your fabric while you cut the seam. And voila, awesome. Clean seam or clean cut every time in the size that you want. Okay. So that's how I am able to cut 5.5 by 5.5 squares very easily. So these coasters have 2 different fabrics, and I like to just coordinate different things.
Was that enough to make one over there?
This probably is enough to make one coaster. You would actually cut this in half in a smaller square. Okay. And then what goes between the coasters, or between the 2 fabrics, is just a piece of flannel. Great. And that's what gives the coaster its sort of, sturdiness. So that is how we do that. Okay. Another thing I love to give as gifts are cocktail napkins. And
give me some. I'm supposed to sew them. Okay.
So it's really easy to make a cocktail napkin. I basically cut these into about a 12 by 12 size because that is a little bit smaller than like a dinner napkin would be. Oh, yeah. And the thing about sewing, and we've talked about a lot of shortcuts on this show with painting and things like that, but the thing with sewing is if you invest the work up front, your things are going to turn out much better. So you want to measure and then measure again and then cut carefully. And then you want to do your due diligence ironing and pressing. And for me, I don't mind that.
You're good at ironing,
I love ironing. I love it. It's kind of weird. But so basically what I've done is I've ironed down the hem of these napkins so that when I go to sew it, it's just going to be a nice, easy seam for me to make. Yep. It's easy breezy. Okay. And then I've actually made one ahead of time for us here. But basically, so see, I've got the double. So when you hem things, you want to do actually a double fold. So you don't want the raw edge showing on the back side. Because it's important, as my mom always told me, for your back to look as neat as your front. So I've actually sewn this napkin, and basically use just a little zigzag stitch. And
cute,
so
too.
it's got more of a detail to it. So that's a nice thing. Your machine, I don't know if you know this, but there's a lot of different stitches that you have on here.
Okay.
And that's simply the twist of a dial.
That's all you do to make
all
it
it
do a
is.
different
That's
thing
all
as
it
these?
is. Yep.
Okay.
So we've got the coasters, the cocktail napkins. One of my other favorite projects that I do, one thing I love to sew with is felt. Because I love felt, but you don't need to you don't actually need to hem it or finish the edge. So these are Valentines I make for my kids, classmates every year. And it's simple. I just basically took a paper bag, made a heart shape out of it, traced it onto the felt, and I do, you know, obviously 2 pieces of felt, but it makes this cute little pouch. And I then use a pinking shears to cut around the outside. That's what gives it this like zigzaggy shape. Stuff it with treats.
So you just sewed along the bottom here?
Just along the bottom.
Okay.
Just along the bottom. And then I fill it with amazing little treats and tie it up and actually have my kids write out a tag for each of their classmates, and this is their Valentine.
Who wouldn't love to get that?
I would love to
cute.
get that.
I know, make one.
All right, Peggy, you ready to get started?
I guess, yeah. Help me.
We're gonna do it.
Don't leave.
I won't leave. We're gonna do it. All right, it's the big moment. Peggy's gonna sew.
I'm ready.
You're gonna be really great at this, actually. Okay, so we've lowered the presser foot. We've put our needle into the fabric. I need you to press the foot pedal, and you're going to sew right now. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right, press it down. Okay. Press. You actually have to press it. There it is. And I kind of just guide the fabric as I go. Perfect. Keep going.
Yay.
Keep pressing more. And then we reinforce our seams at the end by doing a reverse stitch. Keep pressing. Okay. And we're done. Stop now.
We did a straight line.
A straight line. All right. I just taught Peggy how to sew. And she's fantastic at everything. Now she has another thing to add to her repertoire, but this was really easy. Anybody can sew. Peggy, it's official. You're good at everything now.
Not true, but thanks. I'm excited.
Thanks for letting me help you do this. It's going to be a lot of fun. You're going to make great things. Thanks for watching The Happy House.
Kind of the idea here is to use some different kinds of containers, something cute that's gonna blend in.
Because that just happened. Okay.
Okay, so you were saying
What was I saying?
plate. We just
Oh, a plate. Okay. So obviously when you water this, it's going to drain, but I could put a cute round plate underneath and it would still look really great and catch the extra water. So which 3 herbs I can plant? Basil, not basil. Why?
So we need to find the time anyway if we're gonna plant.
We need to
Stop
find.
everyone. Stop cutting.